If you've never had fun watching a Disney movie, did you even have a childhood? But what if we told you that maybe it's better not to have had a childhood than to discover some of the dark and twisted theories hidden behind some of Disney's biggest hits? That's exactly the case with the spine-chilling theory surrounding our beloved toys from Toy Story. If, like us, you grew up loving the adventures of Woody, Buzz, and the gang, you've probably wondered at some point, how and why can these toys move and come to life when no one's around? One possible explanation lies in a disturbing theory. The toys in the Toy Story franchise are only alive because they're possessed by the spirits of deceased children. According to this idea, each toy acts as a vessel for a child's soul, a second chance at life through play, all while searching for meaning, love, and freedom. Each toy is said to house the spirit of a child who died prematurely, often in tragic circumstances. These souls cling emotionally to the toy they loved the most in life, or whichever toy was closest to them at the time of death. This possession isn't evil. On the contrary, it's seen as a bittersweet continuation of the child's life. That's why the toys have such rich personalities and emotions. They're essentially extensions of the children living within them. And the theory sadly makes sense. It would explain why the toys fear abandonment, being forgotten, and even death itself, as seen in the unforgettable Incinerate scene in Toy Story 3. Feelings like those wouldn't really apply to enchanted objects, but they absolutely would to traumatize children's souls. Even their silence around humans could be part of a curse or spiritual rule. The toys must not reveal their true origin. Otherwise, the possession would be broken and the soul would be forced to pass on to whatever fate awaits. Honestly, the day I first heard this theory, a piece of my childhood shattered forever. And this is just the beginning. Now we're diving into 8 of the creepiest theories tied to your favorite Disney movies. Get ready to have your mind blown. What if Andy's mom from Toy Story is actually Riley from Inside Out? All grown up, this theory connects 2 of Pixar's most iconic films, and it's supported by details that really make you think. First, in Inside Out, there's a memorable scene showing one of Riley's memory orbs, where we clearly see the playground from Toy Story. Most people assume it's just a fun Easter egg, but what if it's way deeper than that? What if Riley actually played there as a child, and that's the same playground Andy later goes to? That would make total sense. Moms often bring their kids to the same places they enjoyed growing up. Now here's where the timeline lines up. Riley is 11 years old in Inside Out, released in 2015. In Toy Story, Andy appears to be about 6 years old. So if Inside Out takes place years before Toy Story, that means Riley could have grown up, moved away, started a family, and had a son, Andy. But the most convincing piece of evidence, Andy's mom looks a lot like Riley. Same light brown hair, blue eyes, and a facial structure that's practically identical. It really wouldn't be far-fetched to think that Andy's mom is actually Riley, just all grown up. If this theory is true, it would confirm that Pixar and Disney movies share a connected universe, just told across different timelines. This one had me staring at the ceiling for hours. If you thought the last theory was creepy, buckle up. This one's even more twisted. Another popular theory claims that Margot, the eldest daughter of Gru from the Despicable Me franchise, and Riley's mom from Inside Out are actually the same person. One of the strongest points backing this theory is how similar the 2 characters look. Both have straight, dark brown hair, usually tied in a ponytail. They wear large, dark-framed glasses. Their faces and facial features are strikingly alike, and even their clothing styles are super similar. But it doesn't stop there. Both women are constantly surrounded by yellow beings. Margot spends her days with the banana-loving minions, while Riley's mom deals with her daughter's emotions, especially Joy, who literally glows bright yellow. A bit too many coincidences, don't you think? It would actually make perfect sense. Margot always took on a motherly role as a child, looking after her younger sisters Edith and Agnes. So, had you ever considered this possibility before? What if Mother Gothel, the villain from Tangled, is actually the evil queen from Snow White, still alive and hiding under a new identity after the events of the 1937 classic? The most obvious connection between the 2 villains is their shared obsession, staying young and beautiful forever. The evil queen wants to be the fairest of them all, and is even willing to murder Snow White out of pure jealousy. Mother Gothel, on the other hand, locks Rapunzel away so she can use the magic from her hair to remain young eternally. Their looks are also nearly identical. Both have long wavy black hair, arched eyebrows, greenish-blue eyes, and very similar facial structures. And we're talking about their youthful disguises, of course. In their true forms, both appear as eerie older women dressed in dark clothing. Even their voices and speech patterns are chillingly alike, cold, manipulative, and full of hidden menace. This all seems like way more than just coincidence. It genuinely feels like we're looking at the same woman, only in different stages of a life unnaturally extended by some dark, ancient magic. And it would actually make perfect sense, especially if the evil queen survived the cliff fall and later found the enchanted golden flower. The same one Mother Gothel claims she discovered centuries ago. That would give her more than enough time to rebuild her life far from the magic mirror and the royal court of Snow White, now devoted solely to preserving her youth, with a brand new source of power, Rapunzel's hair. Even the way both villains die is eerily similar. The evil queen falls off a cliff, and Mother Gothel, after catching a glimpse of herself in a shattered mirror, clearly a nod to the queen's old magic mirror, plummets from the tower, finally freeing everyone from her twisted control. So if this theory holds up, Mother Gothel and the evil queen are actually the same immortal villain, one who outlived her punishment and reinvented herself over the centuries, all in the desperate pursuit of eternal youth. Kind of mind-blowing, right? Before we dive into even more creepy theories, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our upcoming videos. If your childhood hasn't been ruined yet, don't worry, this next theory might just do it. In The Lion King, everyone knows Scar is responsible for his brother Mufasa's death. But what if, after throwing Mufasa off the cliff, Scar actually ate him? Literally. Right after Mufasa dies, we see Simba run off, and the king's body is never shown again. No funeral, no memorial, nothing. Considering lions live in a structured society with deep respect for their leader, the total disappearance of the body is suspicious. Later on, there's a scene where Scar, now king, is seen playing with a skull in his lair, and if you look closely, it's about the same size as Scar's own head. Not only that, the skull is long and narrow, with sharp teeth, clearly resembling an adult lion's skull. Some people say the hyenas might have eaten Mufasa's body, but in real life, hyenas rarely eat lions. Plus, Scar didn't trust them enough to let something that symbolic end up in their paws. This theory says Scar didn't just betray and kill Mufasa, he devoured him, destroyed the body, and kept the skull as a twisted trophy. After hearing that, I've never been able to watch The Lion King the same way again. Now let's talk about a theory that honestly makes me sad because it makes way too much sense, and it involves one of my favorite characters in movies, WALL-E. If you've seen the 2008 film, you know the cute little robot is supposedly the last of his kind. Or so it seems. The story hints that Earth was once filled with WALL-E units, mass-produced to clean up the planet. But when the movie begins, there's only one left, and not only is he still running, but he looks to be in near-perfect condition, while all the others are rusted, broken, or reduced to scrap. So here's the dark question. Why is he the only survivor? Well, maybe it's because WALL-E himself disabled the other bots, intentionally, using their parts to keep himself alive. A kind of dark, artificial version of survival of the fittest. WALL-E clearly has a personality, memory, a will to live, and the ability to learn. He avoids danger, experiences fear, and even expresses love. That means he's also capable of making rational decisions to ensure his own survival. So if other robots began to fail, and he realized salvaging their parts was the only way to keep going, he may have taken drastic action, even disassembling still active units that hadn't developed the same level of intelligence or autonomy. Earth in WALL-E is completely abandoned. No rules, no law, no supervision. The perfect environment for a smart, lonely robot to evolve and take over, even if it meant eliminating the rest. If all of this is true, WALL-E might not just be the last of his kind. He might be why he's the last, which would mean our lovable movie hero could be hiding a dark, oily past. Watch your back, Eve. If you've seen Wreck-It Ralph, then you know Sergeant Calhoun is a total badass, the elite leader in the hero's duty shooter game. But her past hides a painful trauma. She tells us her fiancé was eaten by a cybug on their wedding day. However, some fans believe there's a darker truth behind the story. Calhoun herself killed her fiancé, either by accident or on purpose, and honestly, the evidence makes it pretty believable. Cybugs are the main enemies in Calhoun's game. While the movie doesn't explain this in detail, the lore of the game suggests these alien bugs can merge with whatever they consume. In Calhoun's flashback, we see her future husband get swallowed by a cybug right at the altar. Seconds later, Calhoun pulls out a massive gun, seemingly from nowhere, and unleashes a hailstorm of bullets at the creature. Remember we mentioned how cybugs become what they eat? That probably means Calhoun was forced to take out her fiancé because he had already fused with the cybug. In that moment, he had literally become the enemy. Even though Aladdin feels like a magical tale straight out of 1001 Nights, there's a wild theory that the story doesn't take place in the past, but in a post-apocalyptic future, thousands of years ahead, after a civilization-ending disaster, where society rebuilt itself using ancient traditions mixed with futuristic relics. And the biggest clue? The genie. If you've watched the movie, you've definitely noticed how the genie does impressions of modern celebrities like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even makes references to cars, planes, and cameras. That wouldn't make any sense in the past, unless he had been trapped in the lamp for thousands of years, and those things came before his time. If that's the case, then what we think is magic might actually be lost technology. Like the flying carpet, which behaves like an intelligent being, almost like artificial intelligence. And the magic lamp? It might be a high-tech containment device, with voice activation, remote functions, and data storage. The genie could be some kind of artificially created energy being, or even a super advanced hologram that people in this new world call magical because they've forgotten the science behind it. If all of this is true, Aladdin wouldn't be a story set in ancient times, but in a distant future, where Earth has gone through a massive collapse and humanity returned to a pre-industrial lifestyle. The genie would be a living relic of our era, and everything magical in the movie would actually be futuristic tech, rediscovered and mistaken for sorcery. A future where the past became legend, and fiction turned into tradition. Seriously, mind blown. Did you enjoy these dark Disney theories? Then hit that like button. We've picked 2 more videos for you to keep the fun going. Click one and let's dive into the next one.